Alrighty, Exile, Wicked Phenomenon. Or I guess you could go a step further and sing this game's theme song. Something like a wicked phenomenon. Something like a wicked phenomenon. Something like a wicked phenomenon. It sounds a bit familiar. Maybe I'm just imagining it. Alrighty, there's not a whole lot to say about this game. I guess the cutscenes are a little bit better. I mean, this opening scene makes all your characters look like super wicked and everything, right? But, no, to be honest, the first time I played this game, I was thinking, oh yeah, great Super CD-ROM graphics and everything, and this opening cutscene I thought was pretty interesting and everything, but the second the game starts up, it's holy shit, it's all the same. Everything is all the same. The simplistic graphics, the same character models. They don't have any of the little portraits anymore of people talking. I mean, you'd think that they could even just carry those over from the original game. I mean, they're all the same characters pretty much, right? Uh, I don't know. This game seems very stripped down to me. I think it was really a one-off. To tell you the truth, well, realistically it was. It was only released for a single system compared to the first one, which was released on several across the board, not just consoles but also computers of the time. And you know what? I mean, it's just town after town, side scroller after side scroller. It's all the same stuff over and over and over again. And I find it funny how you're in several different desert locations, and sometimes they don't have palm trees. They have deciduous and pine trees there. That'd be coniferous trees. And you look at this, right? You go from a desert straight over, like from a grassy area in the beginning, to a desert. And then you're in a deep, dark, grassy forest with lakes all around it. I mean, it's insane, right? I mean, it's almost as if there's nothing cohesive tying this game together. It's absolutely insane, honestly. And I don't know, things just seem to happen around you all the time. It's very disjointed, to tell you the truth. It doesn't. It feels like a rehash of the original game, which of course it is. It's nothing new. And a lot of people get pissed off and say, all of a sudden, Sadler starts off a new adventure with all the previous events of the game that came before it completely discounted, and going off on a quest to save the world from recycled perfunctory evil with his now not dead crew of friends. Which, to be honest, I think that they did an okay job, and I don't think. They even said in the game that there's Rumi right there. Do 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 do. There you go. I'm okay, not dead. Awesome. Okay, maybe PewDiePie was lying to you or something, or maybe it was just a lie said by what was that dude's name? I can't even remember. Shimbatha. Uh, so yeah, I mean, uh, the original game to me kind of left it open as to whether or not they died. I mean, it was just kind of shrugged off in the first game, right? I mean, it was a professionally made game with with what should I say? With a real intent behind it, right? And then Kinti and Fakil just happened to show up. Isn't that awesome, right? Rumi didn't say anything about that while she was there. Um, and I'm glad they came around at the time they did, because Sadler could have died, and then this whole piece of shit game could have been over. Ah, yes, the black and white textual cutscenes. How amazingly Super CD-ROM format. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. So, back in Baghdad, and, I gotta tell you, Baghdad looks very lush to me. Very blocky as well. I guess they liked right angles. But, so, to be honest, there's not a whole lot to say about this game. I mean, it's monotonous through and through. Uh, all of the characters are the same and everything. I mean, nowadays they have, well, in this game they have a few more cutscenes featuring them. They have good voice acting. And in fact, I'm just taking a guess at this. I think that the guy who does Fakil's voice is the same guy. I've heard him in Albert Odyssey: Legend of Eldian as the uh, narrator in the opening cutscene. And I don't know, he sounds a lot like what's his face? Deckard Cain from Diablo. That's just me cross-referencing memories from what I believe he sounded like. But and yeah, this had a very slim voice acting cast. Blake Dorsey does several voices. The guy who did Kindy, yeah. Where's my check? Yeah, that's pretty much the extent of his talent right there. Then again, he still did several other voices and everything. I think he also did the voice of Dotar, your um, the evil something that you're fighting in this game. It's pretty much a blobby, gelatinous, warty, yellow-eyed, sharp-toothed zit that's sticking out of a wall and everything. I don't know. I had to change the tape at this point. Yep, there you go. Uh, I don't know, man. Like it's not creative at all, honestly. And I mean, the fact that it's a giant zit coming out of the wall, it serves to have one of the, even with the cheats, honestly, it serves to have one of the most boring boss battles at the end of any game, honestly. And I'm sure it would have been damn near impossible without the cheats that I've been using. Yeah, because you know what, like, believe me, I would not have wasted my time with this game if I couldn't use cheats. I spent the better part of 2 nights finding um, art money values for this game on my computer because I don't know, man. The Magic Engine cheat engine, while I know how to use it and everything, I don't know. To me, it's just black magic, really. Like, I know how to use it and everything, but it's just finding the values that I find almost impossible, you know? I mean, like, just finding Sadler's health, and to be honest, it's just a health bar, right? And it's not like you can go into your status screen and find out the numerical value of your health, because you can't. It's not there. It's very stripped down. Uh, and I'm just sitting there thinking, well, how the hell am I going to figure this out, right? And there's an increased by and decreased by option in the cheat engine, but the thing is, you need to start off with a value, and I mean, whether or not you've got 10,000 values or 100 values, if every time you get hit by a guy, you go and say increased or decreased by this. Uh, Still, you're going to have to do that like 20 or 30 times because it only goes down. The number of cheats or hex addresses that you can modify only goes down by like 5 or 6. So even if you've got 100, it still takes a long time. So yeah, I mean, yeah. As I said, I had to use art money for this game. To me, it's a way faster, more solid engine. It can do it's just way more refined, honestly. Uh, I have found cheats, and I have utilized the actual cheat engine in Magic Engine before. I think it's well built, but again, it just seems that these games store these hex addresses in really weird ways, honestly. And thing is that you cannot really cross-reference values that you find in cheat engine to the values that you find in art money because they're completely different. Because as I said, the only reason that I found out that Sadler's health was 10 when he was at level 1 is because I read it again on a great website, the Cutting Room Floor, tfc.net, I believe. Let me look at that right there. Yep, TCRF, sorry, TCRF.net. I will cite my sources when I can. So, yeah, to be absolutely honest, uh, I said, to be able to play this game, I'm going to need to do cheats because this is absolutely impossible. As I was saying in my review, or sorry, my rambling on, because it's not really a review, honestly, um, of the first Exile game, this game has been made damn near impossible by arrogant, I would say, programmers. And I mean, you know what? It's like if your game is short, like, I don't know, like, put it as budget title, honestly, because I don't know what these people were thinking, to be honest. Uh, it's like the game itself, like without cheats, these walkthroughs on that you can find on YouTube without cheats, the game can be completed in just over 2 hours, honestly. And of course, that's including like running around all of the towns, talking to everybody, and for completionism's sake, doing all that sort of thing, right? And I mean, sorry, I'm just adjusting my headset here. Uh, like a few times you go back I think you go back to Baghdad a few times, and so it's been repaired a bit after you've freed the people under the next obligatory evil that is plaguing this land, but not the main one. Um, I'll say that the cutscenes they're fun to watch. Honestly, as I said, I like cutscenes of this era of this type. Honestly, I like it when just the characters, like they're anime characters, but they're drawn as if they're real people. It's nothing like Yu-Gi-Oh or Dragon Ball Z, where everybody looks the same, where you can hardly tell the difference between uh, Gohan and Goku when they're a kid or when they're adult, and they all sound the same. They all have the same gigantic spiky ass hair and everything. Uh, and here's Lawrence, the fucking, I guess, fifth wheel of this game. And you know what? That's really weird because in one of the reviews I read of this game, as a side note, yeah, nice little time sequence there just to make it a little bit harder, but so worthless, completely pointless. But yeah, they said that Fakil would leave your party at least once or twice to sleep, and that never happened as far as I could tell. Maybe that's well, it can't be in a different part of the game. It's only released on this, right? I don't know if it was removed in a localization from working designs, but yeah, that was weird. I was expecting to see that, and it just never happened. I mean, the only time that Lawrence leaves your party after you save him from that collapsing cave is when he just says, "Oh, geez, I feel a disturbance in the Force, and I have to go do this, that, and the other thing," and he somehow ends up at the final boss battle at the end of the game long before you do. Long before is, of course, a derivative term, seeing as how the game is only a couple hours long, right? So again, see, you're in this desert place, and there are deciduous trees there. They're not palm trees. They're these kind of sharp little oval shaped, these what I don't even know, oblate spheroid elliptical trees and stuff like that. Like they wouldn't grow there. You're in Egypt. That it's ridiculous. And you know what? To tell you the truth, I thought I remember seeing like in just screenshots of the game, like maybe I could be entirely wrong, but I thought that I saw like those Egyptian hieroglyphs, those paintings of people coming to life and killing you, right? And I mean, these are fucking bullshit, right? They remind me, even though they came before Legend of Zelda, they remind me of the Re-Dead characters, and of course there are also mummy versions of the Re-Dead that grab onto you and suck your brains out, right? And so I guess, whether they like it or not, I guess they took inspiration from this game to make Zelda, or at least that aspect of the N64 game, and every subsequent release that contained these characters. Um, and I would say that the flying lion monster there, I'd say that that's more Persian than Egyptian, to be honest. Though I could be wrong, honestly. Yeah, I mean, I was sort of disappointed at this game, honestly. As I said, I don't like it when games stick around too long and overstay their welcome, especially when they're older games like this, where there's just not a whole lot to do, honestly. The intricacies of the story and the plot and how it progresses, and just the diversity of the game itself just hasn't really been fleshed out, right? Uh, I mean, so as I said, I mean, in a simplistic game like that, like with Cosmic Fantasy 2, honestly, again, I say that I like cinematic games because to me, cinemas break up the game experience and they keep it fresh, right? Whether it's just introducing a new character, introducing a new situation, a new world that you're in, and everything, then that's really important to me. That's what I look for in a game, and that's why I play cinematic type games, honestly, especially even full motion video games at this point, right? Like it needs to keep fresh, right? I mean, if it's just constant going from this town to through this platforming sequence, okay, let's stock up on new equipment and everything. And of course, I didn't need to buy any uh, uh, items or anything because I had cheats on and everything. But again, it's like this is like Exile Light. I mean, if this was the first game in the series, I would believe that more than if than the way it is now, honestly, because the first game, Exile, is far and wide more detailed, more intricate, and just larger. Honestly, it's wider in scope, and I gotta tell you, man, like this, they missed the mark on this one. To be honest, I mean, again, it's like half of the places you go to are either grassy places or sandy places. I mean, you're back in Egypt. I don't know where you were before, where it was also, or maybe just again in Egypt or somewhere before you went to the pyramid. And you know, and to be honest, I just don't know what to say about this game. Honestly, it's just so vanilla to me, honestly. I mean, uh, at points, the monster design is sort of creative, I guess. I mean, it's like, see that right there. Like, why have those platforms there when you can jump on them, but then they don't go anywhere, right? I mean, it's like, I guess I'm giving the game too much credit for what it's worth, honestly, because there were a few times where I had to, weirdly enough, there's no written walkthroughs for this game, and you'd think, well, it's pretty much just a straightforward left to right kind of game, honestly, right? So it's everywhere you go is pretty much obvious, to be honest. But again, it's like I had to queue up video walkthroughs to help me get through the game, not because I needed them, but because I thought, okay, maybe this might be useful in case, I'm in like a gigantic temple and there are so many different entrances and exits. I don't want to just be fucking around in this one temple for like 2 hours or something and just waste time because I don't know where I'm going. Well, again, I was giving the game too much credit for what it was worth, because uh, I don't think there were few, if any, points in the game where there was more. Well, I can't. I take that back. There were a few instances where there was more than two doors in a single room, but I mean, realistically, they're all hallways and they all end, and then you would just end up going back to where you begun, and then you you eventually find your way through and kill a boss that doesn't say anything to you except for the few that have obligatory cutscenes because it's a super CD-ROM with average graphics. And so I mean, again, it's like, yeah, just all the buildings look the same. I mean, it's like this was so hurriedly slapped together, to be honest. Uh, and LN, like these weird names and everything. Like I don't know where I am. I can't place myself. I mean, there's no world map or anything, and I mean, it's just I don't know. Like it looks almost unfinished, right? Because like at the end, when you're fighting Dotar, uh, I mean, like, just when did Dotar come about? Like when was he created? Like he says he's the manifestation of all of humanity's evil, greed, and lust, and blah 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 blah. Was he? Are you saying he was present in the first game, or am I again lending too much credit to the game? Uh, and again, it's like I don't know how he can pervert the world when like he can barely get off of a wall, right? I mean, he's stuck to it, you know. And this Lawrence character, who is he just comes out of nowhere, right? And he says, "Oh, I don't know why, but all I know is that I have to kill you." And then of course, they say, "Oh, by beating me, you vanquished the evil inside my mind, or something. So I'll join you." Until now, when he decides to fuck off, and then he finds Dotar there, and he says, "Blah, you're like my you." I wouldn't even call him an avatar, honestly. Uh, like I don't know, like you're his human manifestation of all of his evil and everything, which he obviously isn't because he's a pretty solid dude. Uh, and I don't know, like you get a chance to attack Dotar as Lawrence when he's alone in this sort of cutscene in the game. Uh, and I still had my cheats running, right? So I had infinite health. So I pretty much just wailed on him until he was dead, and then I realized, okay, you know what? This is one of those scripted battles where you're going to lose, and so I had to turn that off and die anyways, right? Which I think is really really stupid, honestly. I think that it's a really cheap game mechanic of or a plot device of inspiring tension or inspiring drama, right? Because I mean, it's like, I don't know, man. It's like if you're not expecting it, like if this was a bigger game and a wider game, if you weren't expecting it, you would be using a whole lot of potions and everything. You'd be wasting all of your energy, your time, and all of your items and everything, fighting a battle that is inherently unwinnable, right? So I mean, I don't know. It's cheap, and it's kind of a slap in the face to the gamers who play it. So yeah, I don't know. Like just Poopy Boy. What does that even mean? Why are you calling me Poopy Boy? Like, did I not just save? Like, is this not Baghdad? Like, did I not just save you or something? Or are there just random shitheads around here? You know? And you'd think that the people in the big ass houses would have something more interesting to say, but they don't, right? And I mean, it's like some of these cutscenes are full screen, right? But I mean, it's like ba 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 ba. It's like lip flapping there, and then not a whole lot of frames of movement there, and yeah. So this is the battle right here, and what am I doing here? Uh, I have no idea. Yeah, so I just said, you know what? I'm just gonna see what happens, right? Because the funny thing was that in Cosmic Fantasy 2, when you're fighting Wisda, I still had my cheats on, and I was actually able to beat Wisda. And even though I beat him or her, I don't honestly know, and I don't really care honestly. Uh, I still lost. So I was wondering, like, what would happen if I did this, right? So I just said, you know what? Okay, nothing's happening here. So I'll take my cheats off and then I'll die. Huh, okay. So back in the temple here, and this is probably the same temple again. It's like, I don't know, man. Like everything just progresses at light speed. It's hardly even a role-playing game, to be honest, right? I mean, it's just they're so tacitly implemented. Um, sometimes you can walk past the stairs to get a chest, and sometimes you can't, which is really weird. And holy smokes, right? I mean, it's like, what are you trying to say? It's like just say receive this, receive that, and everything. I mean, you're just being goofs. You're just adding in your own little goofy lingo there, right? I mean, and there's nothing there, so why even have it, right? I mean, screens are recycled all the time in this game, right? So then it's like, wow, something different for only a little while. I'm just trying to say what's going to happen next. The Great Ark. Where is this coming from? Is it Noah's Ark or something, or is it something that flies around in the sky? Are these supposed to be who are those? Are those little Clispin midgets or something? I have no idea, right? And oh yeah, and look at this. Like look at this interface, right? Like nothing that tells you what's better or what's worse or something, or it's like they say who's buying what, and uh, it always gives you the full menu of what to buy. But if you select the wrong character, then you can't buy anything. Certain things for that character, it'll just say, "What? You can't use that. What? You can't use that." Even though they could have had like in brackets like K for Kindy, R for Rumi, S for Sadler, L for Lawrence, F for Fakil, and everything like that. But no, I mean, I don't know. It seems that uh, working designs could have honestly, yeah, look at that. Like again, even without cheats, I did not get hurt once walking through those lightning doors or whatever they are. Um, so I mean, that's probably how to beat that little algorithm there. But no, so it's like, I mean, it's like they could have implemented way better just functional aspects of the game to make it more interesting, but they didn't. Like they only needed. They only knew how to do one thing and make things hard, right? I mean, they're the negative version of Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill only really knew how to be the prime minister of a war-torn country. He didn't know how to be the prime minister of a country that was not in wartime. And to be honest, Working Designs does not know how to localize games that are not, at least in some ways, inherently broken or overly difficult, because they take easy games like Exile or XZR and this game from the Japanese developers, and they completely destroy them. To be honest, yeah, I fell off this platform here. I thought, is this platform going to take me back up? But again, no. It's giving the game too much credit there. Yeah, so it's like they just take what pretty much was either an average game to a somewhat solid game, and they just pretty much made it unplayable, right? I mean, that was Working Design's problem. They had such a small range of consumers, right? I mean, like you knew what you were getting with Working Designs, and to be honest, as I've said before, I thought that these were all such great high quality games and everything. And I mean, they're not necessarily like the localizations aren't necessarily terrible, but I mean, all of the meta humor, all of the self-referential humor, the pop culture humor, and everything that's added into the game, it's somewhat entertaining, sometimes rather entertaining. But I mean, again, it's like let's keep focused on the game, right? Because a lot of the time they completely modify what people say into something that's completely unrecognizable. So there you go. I just whooped Dotar's ass, and that's his little testicle in the middle, right? Um, I mean, okay, and then he like takes control of your friends there, blah 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 blah, and then he tries to fry you with lightning or something, and it's like this could have been way more dramatic, honestly. But again, I'm giving the game way too much credit, honestly. I mean, it's like, what are the guys waiting for, right? I mean, you have mind control over them. You could do this with a thought. Sadler would already be dead. He would have been turned into fucking cinders. And then, I don't know, he shoots a falcon laser at him and destroys him because he's like, I'm going to give you back all the power, sort of like in that one late 2000s Hulk movie by the Japanese director where he's like, give me all your power. And then he's like, oh, take it back, take it back. And then, of course, none of the characters have anything to say about the fact that they just saved the entire planet from uh, the, the manifestation of humanity's evil and hate and jealousy and suffering and bullshit like that. I mean, I think that there have been several games, several Japanese RPGs at least, even on this console, that have based their main adversaries around such a throwaway Deus Ex Machina, honestly. So, yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on Exile Wicked Phenomenon. Uh, Thanks for those who did watch, 0 of them, and I'll see you next time. Skwatter out.